Scene 38 Reimagined by FXitinPost was released on Wednesday and I've watched it an immense amount of times now. It is a reimagining of the duel between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope, as if it were in the style of the prequels with today's technology. The prequel Star Wars films were of course much more fast paced than the lightsaber battles of the original trilogy, especially this one, the first and probably slowest paced one in the entire franchise. I saw some clips and heard about Scene 38 about a year and a half ago and forgot all about it until Wednesday when it finally got released, and it is simply amazing. Even if you don't like Star Wars, I mean, I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, I haven't even seen The Last Jedi yet, and from what I've heard I'm not missing out on much. But anyone can appreciate the work it took to make this, whether it's an appreciation of the new special effects, the fast-paced choreography, the way that they've put Alec Guinness's face onto the new shots, or just admiring how seamlessly they've mixed the new shots with the old. The most amazing part of it, in my opinion, is how much of an emotional impact it's able to make by making use of the background knowledge that we now have of the prequel story, something that the original simply would not be able to do because they didn't have that knowledge and that backstory. As a result, I urge everyone to watch Scene 38 Reimagined. I've put a link to it in the description. It's a damn sight better than my reimagining of the scene anyway.
Your powers are weak, old man.
Yeah, well, your mama's so fat the entire Tuscan village had to carry her. The reason it's called Scene 38 Reimagined, in case it wasn't obvious, is because the duel between Vader and Kenobi is apparently the 38th scene of A New Hope. So anyway, I'm not going to go into the obvious and praising the effects, the fact that it's in 4K and all that sort of thing, because that's obvious. But there were some small details I noticed that I really liked when I compared it to the original version of the scene, so I wanted to point these out. The first thing that I liked about this is the way the start switches up between shots of Obi-Wan and Darth Vader walking and gearing up for the encounter, almost like two boxers getting ready before a big match. It really gears you up for the big confrontation, and that boxing metaphor actually really sums it up pretty well, I think. It really has that feel to it, the two combatants putting on their gloves and walking towards the ring. This is something the original doesn't really do, it just shows Obi-Wan just kind of wandering about. He pulls out his lightsaber and suddenly Darth Vader's standing there. He's even already got his lightsaber ignited. It kind of feels like a random encounter or something. Vader just sort of stands there for a bit and then starts non-aggressively casually walking over to Obi-Wan. Like,
dude, I swear I've seen you somewhere before.
Probably what he was thinking, actually.
Is that really Obi-Wan? Geez, the years have not been kind to him, aged like 40 years in half that time.
The next thing that's interesting is that they changed Vader's opening line.
I've been waiting for you, Obi-Wan.
And they changed it to,
our long-awaited meeting has come at last.
I think this might have been done because "I've been waiting for you" suggests that he really was just standing there waiting for him for ages, as opposed to him actively searching and heading towards him aggressively as seen in Scene 38. The transition to Vader's next sign, which is actually from the original, is pretty seamless as well.
Has come at last.
The circle is now complete. When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master.
And I love the way Vader just instantly goes for the attack. He doesn't even wait for Obi-Wan to finish his sentence. He just lunges at him as you would expect a guy who's been hunting this old geezer for 19 years to do. I also liked this because it's kind of weird how in the original Obi-Wan is the first one to attack, considering the Jedi are meant to be, all about defending themselves and that sort of thing, and Vader is meant to be the aggressive one, but he starts out defending. It's nice to see this corrected in Scene 38. Now, can I just say, I immensely appreciate that they kept in probably the most iconic part of this fight, the Obi-Wan spin. A legendary maneuver. I'm very glad that they reimagined this to firstly actually work well with the choreography and make sense, but secondly that they put it in twice. And actually upon rewatching this for about the 20th time, I've only just now realised that I've been too busy paying attention to Obi-Wan's second spin, I didn't notice that Vader spins at exactly the same time. A surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. It's nice to see force powers being used to attack each other. It's kind of weird in the original how you've got these two powerful men, a Jedi and a Sith, that don't pretty much to any degree use the force in their duel together. Maybe it's because they knew they were evenly matched from their previous battle. Or maybe it's just because it was made in 1977 and they didn't really know anything about Jedi and the Force back then and we're just overanalyzing it. I really like how Vader in Scene 38 uses the Force to throw stuff at Obi-Wan. Considering he does the same thing to Luke, his own son in The Empire Strikes Back, you'd think he'd have no quarrel doing it to the guy that left him to burn in hot lava after cutting off his arm and legs. The best part of Scene 38 Reimagined for me is the final scene of the lightsaber battle. The lighting seems slightly monotone, and the music, I tell you, the music is what gives this scene the emotional punch it has. At least to me. Just the use of the music alone. I don't know if it has a name, but I personally call it Vader Rises. And it's the theme that plays at the end of Revenge of the Sith when Vader, as you might have guessed, rises. That alone, that one connection to the prequels already is chilling. And this is further enhanced when they add actual lines from Revenge of the Sith over it. And potentially the most emotion-filled lines at that. But the shots in this scene is what gives it its weight. In universe, this battle is 19 years in the making. Vader has been searching for Obi-Wan for nearly 2 decades. This battle is an incredibly important and iconic moment in the universe, and that is something the original simply couldn't capture, due to the lack of hindsight that has caused this reimagining to be created. The shots in Scene 38 do fantastically well at conveying that this is the moment Vader has been waiting for. It gives this scene the universal gravitas it deserved, and I especially love this shot here that looks like it comes straight from a horror film, a murder about to happen. Vader knows he's got his target, and then it happens.
Now you will die.
The new shot of Darth Vader slicing down Obi-Wan is naturally far superior effects-wise to the original, plus the angle is important to note, looking up from below at the victorious Vader. I also liked the way Darth Vader throughout the fight always seemed to be the dominant one. It felt like he won, whereas the original felt, to me at least, kind of like a neutral battle, and then Obi-Wan just lets Vader kill him. I remember as a kid finding that incredibly random. Here it felt like Darth Vader truly used his power and earned this victory. So yeah, those are basically my thoughts on comparing Scene 38 Reimagined to the original Darth Vader vs Obi-Wan duel from Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope. I just thought there was so much detail put into this short film, and I just wanted to do an analysis of it. FXitinPost, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, is clearly immensely talented, and I'm generally amazed that they've been able to create a scene that I've watched however many times now, and it still gives me chills because it carries such weight to it and portrays the gravitas that this scene deserves so incredibly well.